What's good, everyone? This is Sabrewolf4 with another expanded update to show you guys. An update to a deck that I've used in Standard when it was around, but now it's not because of the rotation. And it's going to be the shit deck. This is how I call it. It's basically this Garbodor from Guardians Rising, the main card that rotated out, with the Alolan Muk from I think it was Unified Minds, or no, it's not Unified Minds. I think it's Team Up, perhaps. I think it might be Team Up. I think it's Team Up, yeah. But this deck, it's basically what it looks like. Garbodor. This is a Pokemon that definitely left its mark in the competitive metagame for as long as it's around. It's going to be a good card, forever, I guess, unless they print something similar with more HP and stronger Trash Avalanche. But depending on how many items your opponent has in the discard pile, this dude can do hundreds of damage, so it's very good. And with a Pokemon like Alolan Muk here, which when it evolves, sends our opponent's items from the deck to the discard pile, you reveal 6, and any items over there get discarded. It kind of helps us fuel his attack and not rely on your opponent to play items. So we can use this as an main attacker, not just as a late game, mid game Pokemon like in other decks, Zoroark, Espeon, decks that this Pokemon was paired up with. So it's a pretty simple deck. I've used this in Standard too. I showed you guys. This is going to be an update for the Expanded format. We get a lot of tools that help this deck be more consistent in Expanded. But it's going to be even better when Sword and Shield comes out and we get some instant evolution searchers, that new card that gets any evolved Pokemon. But the line is going to be pretty simple. You max out the Garbodor, your main attacker, and you max out the Alolan Muk so that we can hopefully evolve a bunch of these out. Maybe 2 to 3 is a good number depending on how many items your opponent plays and just uses himself. So that's good. And then the basic line, of course, I do this Trubbish from Guardians Rising too. You do have a bunch of options in Expanded when it comes to Trubbishes, but this one I like because it has 70 HP. It has the Stomp Off attack, which for a Psychic you discard the top card of your opponent's deck, so it kind of synergizes with what we're trying to do. Mill cards from our opponent's deck, and discard valuable resources too while we're trying to boost Garbodor's damage. And then for the Alolan Grimer, you also have a bunch of options from the Sun and the Moon era, but I like this one with Division. For a costless attack, you can search Grimers, put them on your bench. There's one that lets you draw 2 cards, basically for free, same kind of attack, and that can be pretty handy, but I kind of like the bench recruitment, to be honest. It can save you in dire situations as well, so this one is the best one in my opinion. Next up, we just have a bunch of extra Pokemon, I guess. You got this Ditto Prism. This can be another Grimer or Trubbish, depending on what we want to evolve. I guess it makes sense to run in a deck like this, where it's just pretty straightforward. And one of them used for Bench Barrier. That can also be handy. If you want, you can put another support Pokemon if you like, but I like this Mew right here. And it's just that though we have 10 basics at the very least. Right. So lots of Pokemon, 18 Pokemon, since we gotta run 2 stage 1 lines and max them out. And then the rest is gonna be lots of trainers too. So the aspect of choice, I guess start with that, is computer search. I don't see why you would run anything else. I mean, what are you gonna run? I guess Thousand Machine can give you that flexibility late game to use something extra, but you really just want to boost the consistency as much as possible. We don't really have the space to put other support Pokemon, so that's why at least your trainers make them as consistent as possible. So this is why computer search is in here. Then I've got the searches, of course, 3 Nest Ball, get the basic Pokemon down, get the Grimers, get the Trubbishes, of course, and then between the Heavy Ball, which can also search out there's Grimer too. It can't search out this guy, but it can search the Grimer. We can basically get all of the other evolved Pokemon. We can get Garbodor too, and we can get Muk as well. So this is much better compared to something like Mysterious Treasure, I would say, even though that can be pretty handy too, helping you get this guy. And then double communication. Communication is good in a deck like this because, of course, we have a big skeleton of Pokemon. When you have a bunch of these stuck in your hand, or this in the beginning, and you can't use them, communication is good, so you can put them back in the deck and get a basic. So 2 communication, 3 nest ball, 3 heavy ball. It's a good sort of engine of searching Pokemon cards. Yep. Then I do run the 1 Professor's Letter to gather those psychic energies. This is just a good straight up +1 card. Why not run it? And then just more of generic cards, I guess. The usual techs. You got the Rescue Stretcher. This can be pretty good. 1 Field Blower, 1 Megaphone. Serves an additional purpose in this deck in that if your opponent, plays down the tools and we get rid of them, it also boosts this guy's damage. So very nice. Trainer's Mail, additional consistency. Only 1 VS Seeker because of space and because I want to run more supporters and stuff. VS Seeker is good. It's going to help us reuse stuff like Guzma as well. I'm going to look at later. But there's kind of only space for 1. The Stadium, Shrine of Punishment, you got to make space for something like this too. This card is very good. Help us get that additional damage on the GX Pokemon. It's very good. And I guess the switches. Did I mention the switches? These ones are pretty important because this guy does have a big ass retreat and he can't really attack. And we don't want him to be stuck. So you want to move him out of the way. With the switches, with the Guzma right here, only 1 because of space. But yeah, that's why the switches are in there. And, this guy, if they get him stuck, he can attack. All I gotta do is just attach a psychic energy. So it's just for Muk, pretty much. And that's basically it. All that stuff is the supporters. This is a pretty straightforward ass deck, just powered up in the expanded format. Got the chorus, of course, in this format. Do 4 Cynthia, do 4 of N as well, max out the N, because we're only gonna do 1 Juniper. You don't really want to discard all of the stuck Garbodors and Muks in your hand. This guy, you definitely want to make use of all of them. It's your only attacker. So we can't be discarding them and stuff. So that's why instead of running Junipers, I'm just maxing out Cynthias and Ents. It's going to work out. We'll have 1 less VS Seeker too. So yeah. Still do the 1 Lily. This can be pretty handy turn 1. You can drop this for something else if you'd like. Maybe if you want to run more Juniper. Maybe if we want to run something else like Tate and Liza. I don't know. You do have options. And 1 Skylar too. Can fetch us anything. Never know when this can be handy. Guzma is the supporter, the pull-in supporter in this deck as opposed to Lysander. Because the switching for our Pokemon can be very handy too. It can help us move the Muk out of the way if they decide to get it stuck. And then the only thing that's left is the Psychic Energy. 10 Psychic Energy. More than that is probably overkill because the only one that attacks is Garbodor. You just need 1 Psychic. So you just want 10 so that you have enough, to go around. Basically that's it. There's no really any way to recover them. So with 10, you should get by. And maybe sometimes you're going to have even extras. But this is basically the deck. It's quite similar pretty much to how it was in Standard, to be honest. It's just that we can take advantage of, an A-Spec and expanded. Things like Heavy Ball, of course, Trainer's Mail, supporters like Chorus and N. So, it should be more consistent than what it was in Standard, from my testing anyway. It's just, of course, that in expanded, there's a lot more competition. So, weaknesses of this deck, basically only 1, your consistency. This deck, I tried to make it as consistent as possible, as consistent as it can be when you don't have additional support Pokemon. This is an anti-meta deck through and through. That's why the Shrine is in here, and that's why there's not really any stuff like Tapu Lele, Dedenne, even Oricorio, Pokemon like that. So that's why. Of course, when it's gonna work, it's gonna work very well. You're only trading, 1 prize, dishing out very high damage, depending on what your opponent's deck uses. So basically that's it. Getting stuck is another weakness, and Pretty much. I mean, not much else. I guess if they use something like was it Glaceon? Yeah, Glaceon that blocks evolved Pokemon, or you know, Pokemon like that would be a problem for Garbodor. Then you can't really do much. But most of the stuff that uh, wall and do stall tactics like that are immune to stuff are usually basic Pokemon, GX Pokemon. So Garbodor should be good. But this is the deck, guys. Just a small little update. I'm showing it to you because I'm going to post some matches with it and expand it, I guess. Just waiting for the Sword and Shield set, and hopefully, hopefully we get some good stuff from there, so I can do some stuff. The update was today. The patch take forever, but anyways. So Saber Final Form. Hope you guys enjoyed this deck update video. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with your friends. All that good stuff. And I'll see you guys on the matches. Saber Final Form. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see.